What's up everybody, Tech Chucker here, and I've got a review for you of the Hasbro Marvel Legends Thor Ragnarok Wave Thor Odinson. Now, this is one of the figures that I wasn't super excited about, but I had to have it in order to finish the Build-A-Figure, so I grabbed it, and you know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. Alrighty, so the articulation on this figure is pretty well expected. There's nothing too out of the ordinary. His head is on a ball hinge, and he's able to look up a decent amount, but because of the hair and the cape, it doesn't stay. But I'm okay with it. His chin does get all the way down into his chest, which is pretty good. He's got good side-to-side motion. Nothing's really getting in the way. The hair is relatively soft. And then he's got a decent amount of tilt in that head, which is, it could be a little better. Shoulders, he's got a ball hinge, which he can get his arm all the way out and just above the shoulder, which is great. Full rotation of that shoulder, which is nice. And then there is an upper bicep swivel that works good. Double jointed elbows, these actually work pretty good. Let's see if I can get it. I can get the bottom part of it to activate. I can get you going. I won't bother because this actually is pretty good anyway. In the wrist, he's got a peg joint and a hinge that works really, really good. There's no issues getting in the way of that. The little cuff pieces float, so they stay out of the way, which is great. Moving down into the torso, he has that standard hinge in his torso, and he's able to crunch forward quite a bit. This is really, really nice. And it looks pretty decent, too. I'm pretty pleased with that. Backwards, he's able to go about one click or so. Not too bad. He has a waist swivel, and there's nothing getting in the way of that, which is nice. It does kind of snap back, but, whatever. In the hips, he's got T-jointed ball joints in the hips, and he's able to do a pretty good split there. I'm not going to complain whatsoever with that. That's a good range of motion for this guy. He can kick forward just above his hips, just a little bit, which is really nice. I like that. And then kicking backwards, it's actually not too terrible. There's an upper thigh cut. That works good. No real issues. And then double jointed knees. Those also, for such a chunky figure, it's not bad. It's over 90 degrees, which I'll take. There is no shin cut, but there in the ankle, there is he can get his foot all the way back, which is awesome. He can get his foot forward quite a bit, which is also great. There is an ankle rocker, and at first I didn't catch this, but it's actually a ball joint. And so you get a lot of range of motion with this, which I'm actually pretty happy with. I like this. It works really, really nice. It's a little chunky, but beyond that, it's great. So overall, the articulation, I'm actually quite pleased with. For a Thor figure that's a little bit thicker, Hasbro did a really good job. Okay, so the sculpt and paintwork on this figure is really quite simple, and there's some high points and some low points. The first one that I want to talk about is these eyes. We've got irises and pupils that are painted really quite cleanly. That looks really, really nice. They painted the eyebrows, which is pretty good. No paint on the lips, but those eyes, his pupil on his right eye is a little bit askew, but it still looks really, really good. I really like this hair. It's a very soft, pliable plastic, which I like. And they actually gave it some paint shadowing with, I believe, a little bit of a wash. And it looks really, really nice. I think they captured the look of Thor really nicely. And so I'm very happy with the head sculpt. Can't complain. The rest of the body, and let's pull this head off so that we can get rid of the cape first. I'm not impressed with this. They just painted the shirt on and the little buckle thing that puts it together. It's not super clean with the lines. You can see there's some paint missing on his chest. It's not very impressive. It looks pretty lazy. The shoulders where the arms meet up doesn't look all that great. The back is exceptionally sculpted, but not that well. I do like this little belt piece. It is a floating piece. I like the little rope. There's no paint on it. It could have used some paint shadowing or whatever. The rest of the figure, there's not a lot of paint. I do like these little wrist cuffs. There needs to be some paint on there to accentuate the little bit of detail that's on it. I do like that they float so that you can move the wrists around. So I'm glad for that. A little bit of paint would have gone a long way. I like these boots. Technically, it's not really a boot. They just slapped a knee piece on. I'm glad that it is attached to the top of his shin rather than on his knee. I kind of wish that they were a little softer, but, it is what it is. The ankle I talked about, it is a little bit thick and a little too big, but I'll take it because it's very functional. I like the shoes. There's really no detail sculpted into the shoes, but they are nice. They've got peg holes. So overall, I'm pleased with it, but I'm not at all wowed by it. The cape is nice. I wish it was softer. They did do some shading. I like the holes. Those are sculpted in very nicely to give it that weathered look. The paint shadowing is nice as well. I just wish that it was a little softer so that it could move around a little bit more. But on the figure, it looks really, really good. It covers up a little bit of the simplicity of the figure. I wish that they had sculpted his shirt at the seams and sculpted in the little buckle thing that's supposed to be holding it together. That really would have gone a long way, because otherwise it's just black and not that impressive. So let's go ahead and measure this guy up to see just how tall he is. And he comes in at just about 7 inches, roughly 7, which is a pretty decent size. For an Asgardian, I expect them to be a little bit bigger, which Hasbro gave us that, which I'm happy for. We'll do a little size comparison with him and Daredevil, Deadpool. And as you would expect, Deadpool is just a little bit shorter. This is what I needed to see, and I'm glad for it. This figure, it scales really, really well with all of your Legends, as it should, since it is a Legend. Hasbro did a nice job with it. I'm pleased. It's a little overly simple, but still it looks very, very nice. Alright, so Hasbro only gave us one accessory, and it is this battle axe. We've seen, I believe, a version of this before. I believe it was the Allfather Baff. But there's some really nice detail work on the actual axe head with that scroll work. It looks really, really nice. And then the wood grain is sculpted in, the handle's sculpted nicely and painted well. I'm actually really quite pleased with this accessory. It looks really nice. It's kind of made of a pliable, softer plastic, which is I kind of like that. His hands don't grip it as tightly as I'd like, so it can kind of flop around, and you have to make him basically choke up on it to have a tighter fit. So if his hands were just a little bit tighter, that would go a long way. But this is a really, really nice accessory. I really like the way that it looks. The other accessory that would be nice is if we had alternate hands. It'd be cool to have some fist hands. Maybe, I don't know, some other hands would be cool. I don't even know that we need an alternate head. I think this head sculpt is really, really good. Maybe something to go across his chest, some sort of, I don't know. You got to break up the monotony of his chest being so simple that maybe a shoulder strap or something would have been good with a pouch. But overall, this figure is actually a lot better than I was expecting it to be. The articulation is probably the winner for this figure. That's what really makes this figure decent. I paid about $15 for it. I would definitely not pay retail for this guy, just because it's kind of a bland figure. But it's a decent figure, and if you collect Asgardians, you're gonna need this in your collection. So I recommend it. There's no major issues with it. Alrighty folks, I hope this review was helpful. If it was, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, leave a comment below, let me know what you think of this figure, and the other figures in the wave, and until next time, I'll see you later.